You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 355 of the Centralized favorite podcast. Jeremiah Morrell today, joined by executive video producer, audio engineer, the guy that gets us all on the air, Mr. Zachary Burcham. Co-host today is Betsy Mills, and OG co-host is our special guest, I guess, today, Clay Morgan. Welcome, everybody. Betsy, what do we got planned?
All right. It's going to be a good episode. It's going to be all over the place. We're all waiting for Joe Biden to come out of whatever nap he's taking, waiting for the big boy press conference. But we're going to talk Clay. We're going to talk elections and how you think the city council's doing and the mayor's performance and anything else salty we want to get up to. Going to talk about all these incredible improvements downtown with parking, with restaurants. Just a lot of good stuff happening up and down Broad Street and all around. We're going to talk some national politics. We've got Joe Biden and Donald Trump. There's so much to say. There's just so much to say. And talking about potential replacements for Joe Biden should he step down or the 25th Amendment be invoked.
As we're watching the show, it's possible he's resigning the presidency during the show. So we don't know.
They're standing.
Okay, he's coming out.
Is.
He's coming out. So, Lord knows. Talk potential replacements for Joe Biden, which is fascinating. And finally, Jer has shared this article from the Indiana Capitol Chronicle about a delivery fee from services like Amazon to help pay for road funding, which I think is a really interesting concept. So we'll talk more about that.
That's right. The show's about lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you, other times we'll make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. I'll tell you what, Krista, I'm going to toss you the remote and you can put on the closed captioning and let us know if he says anything useful. So literally, as we're doing the show tonight, the president has once again decided to counter-program Boss Hog of Liberty. 2 weeks ago, they had the big debate on Thursday night as we were doing the show. And now he's having maybe it's his, we're going to run for 4 more years. Maybe we're going to resign the presidency. Maybe it's just that we forgot the snacks. We don't know. So we're going to keep an eye and see what happens. I give it a 20% chance that he says, yep, we're just dropping out tonight. I'm going to say 20%.
Yeah. I'd say very low, but it's yeah, I suppose there'd be a chance.
He lost George Clooney, man. What's left?
Right.
Top of every show, we say thank you to the folks that make the show possible, and that's through our Patreon program, patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty. Just did ourselves about another 15 minutes of up close personal pain of mine from my weekend at Mid Ohio and the crunch that was heard around the campground. You want to know more about that? Jump in there and check it out. Got to say thanks to John Phillips, Andy Moore Buick GMC, and Sports Corner and Varsity Outfitters. If you want your name or your business mentioned at the top of every episode, $50 or more a month in that Patreon program to get you dropped in right there. With all of that business out of the way, welcome back, Clay.
Hey, glad to be back.
Happy to have you. You're OG. I think you were on like episode 7 of this show. Like you very early.
It was early. Yes, yeah. I was very early.
Still around the dining room table at my house, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Before any studios existed.
Yes.
So you're back. You've had a few months now in the rearview mirror since the election, about 7 months or so.
Yeah.
You're back to barbering.
Yes.
Full time.
Yeah.
Making my hair look adequate.
Adequate. I'm probably the most adequate barber around.
Most adequate barber on all of Memorial Drive.
Yes.
I feel like we got to work on your self-esteem.
Yeah. I always tell my wife, keep your expectations low and you won't be disappointed.
It's true. Under promise, over deliver.
Right.
We're settlers, son. So, you've remained involved in the city election scene, kind of as a commentator, and still keeping your thumb on the issues that you campaigned on.
Yeah.
How do you look back now on the elections 6-7 months in the rearview mirror and the direction the city's going and how you feel about the world?
So I'll say a few things and then let you kind of jump in and ask questions or comment because
I'm going to start the 10-minute egg.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I talk too much, right? But
most souls are saved after an hour.
Right. So number one, I guess one thing that I came away with it is things were actually ended up being much worse than I even thought they were. That I really was surprised by that. Because using the city's own numbers, you could track where they were headed. And I had, I'm not the guy that says I know everything, so I had people helping me that knew that area from other places. And
one of your biggest concerns is that you were stating that the city finances were not as rosy as the current office holders were saying.
Yes, yeah, and it was
saying,
like
no, it's fine.
We were literally on a path to insolvency. Like we were headed that direction. You could see the trend. However, I didn't. When I lost the election, my assumption was 8 to 18 months people would begin to see what I was talking about. Did not realize it was just actually 2 months later. And all of a sudden they're borrowing $1 million to pay employees. And so, the thing that was obvious is just 2 months before that, they were saying they were in the black and I was wrong in misleading people. So it is what it is. So, however, on that note though, I mean, and many people have said this, I truly believe with the way that I was being talked about by some elected officials, I believe that if I had won, there's no way that we could have stopped what is currently happening. It was already in the process.
You'd be the one on the hook.
I believe I would
borrowing $1 million.
I believe they would have blamed me.
Right.
I really do. With the way I really do.
So right now, the big hot topic issue is that water and sewer rates are going up for this community.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yes.
If you had been elected, just transparency. Yeah, that's probably something that would have had to happen regardless at this point because it was never stair-stepped up.
So it's impossible for me to prove what I would have done because that's not real. However, knowing who I am, knowing how I handled myself on the council, knowing my core values and how I see things, I truly believe my plan was to push the pause button. No, don't raise anything. Don't change too much. Take a year or so. See, because I believe, based upon some of the things I've heard, some things I can show and have proof, some things I don't have proof, some things I'd have to throw people under the bus to expose. But I believe there's just certain things where there's some holes that could be plugged, and we might have been able to save some money. And it's like even the insurance issue. I saw where Councilman Dickon was on the show, and he said it's not an insurance issue, it's a budget issue. That's what I was saying the whole time, and I still believe that it's a budget issue,
underfunding things.
Absolutely. We've had poor financial management for quite some time that has been able to be covered up, but now is exposed. There's no way to cover it up now. The balances, the fund balances aren't even accurate right now. It has blown my mind. So right now, Baker Tilly is still working on the 2023 numbers to figure out accurate December 31st, 2023 fund balances. They haven't even, so right now we're working on inaccurate fund balances. So once they have 2023's numbers established, then probably more quickly see where we're accurately at in 24, because I think Ashley's been keeping track of money in,
the new clerk treasurer,
money out. Yeah, the new clerk treasurer. But she just kind of caught the car and she's just hanging on, But it's much, much worse than I even thought it was, which is why we're seeing, oh, we got to raise this. Well, we got to raise that. Well, we need more money here. Well, we can't pay our employees. Now it's all falling apart.
Sunshine and rainbows on Boston. So the city has explored and is most likely going to be jumping out of a utility regulatory organization.
I think
So
it became official, right?
So they've done that, and now they
Yes.
have the flexibility to adjust water rates as they
Yes.
want to.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the most visible impact to citizens.
Right.
Is that my water sewer bill is going to go from about $105 a month to God only knows what. I would imagine.
Yeah. From what I understand,
13 years ago it was $30 a month.
Total bill, like if it goes in, if sewer and water go in, immediately it's like on the average user about a $10 increase per month. And then in 2026, it's it'll go up another 10. So about a $20 per month increase for the average user. And I was talking to one of the councilmen today about it and had posted about it. It's legitimately, it is concerning that because, you look at it, I've sat in that seat before, right? We know how it goes. Well, it's only this much. But if you add it up with everything that's going up, it's quite a bit. And median household income for Newcastle is $46,000 to $47,000, which means, and I know my family is above that. So that means
your average household's paying $1,000 a month or a year just for basic water utilities.
Oh yeah,
to bring water in and get rid of water.
Our household's an average of $1,200.
Yeah,
for our total water
before
bill.
an increase comes in.
Before the increase. Total water includes your trash and your sewage and everything. So, and like I said, we're above that line, and we're still month to month. And with everything that's happening, and electricity is getting ready to increase next year. Duke's already got the proposal out for that. We know property taxes have already increased. There's a lit tax coming that may pass.
That's up to Betsy.
Yeah, our county council is going to be passing taxes.
And
it sucks.
You add it up, and it adds up to a lot. But anyways, I digress on that. But
Joe Biden says it's not unusual for Democrats to worry about the ticket. This happens every year. This happens every time.
Yeah, that's it. We're just
this is not unusual at all. Breaking in. All right.
I just think it's bad timing.
I've got a question for you.
Very bad timing.
So hypothetically, had you won, and I wish you had.
Yeah.
Because I know I have worked with you before.
Sure.
On the county council, and I know that you are capable of making tough decisions to right the ship fiscally.
Sure.
Well, so it hypothetically, you were in office. What tough decisions would you be making right now to try to right the ship?
Probably the toughest one that I think people would tar and feather me for is whatever extracurricular spending is going on, stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So, government should focus on public safety and infrastructure. And then somehow through the years, economic development kind of got tied into that. And then some would argue, well, some of your extracurriculars for economic development, you'd go through those arguments. But literally, seriously, focus on infrastructure, public safety, and cut the extracurricular spending until we balance things to the point to where we can start thinking about that.
So the quality of place items is what you would be most concerned about right now.
I think you have to. I mean, I think so for instance, from my understanding, the way it goes, the parks, for instance, the parks would still continue to be the parks and they would continue to do what they do, because my understanding is they borrow a chunk of money for the park board. The park board does the parks, and then that's how they function. So that's kind of an ongoing thing that we've been used to, and people want that, right? That's a service to the public, and they want that for their kids. So I get that. But I would go through, and I don't know all of them, I admit it, but I would just have to literally go through the list. And it's easy to see some things from a macro level, but you'd really have to get down to the micro level to really fine tune it. But anyways, that's a long way around the block. But definitely, first thing, cut extracurricular stuff until we can balance things. Like I said, the funds aren't even accurate.
That's crazy.
I had an individual describe it to me like this. This individual is someone who knows. That's all I'll say. They described it to me like this when I told them about the funds, because they didn't know. They said, Clay, this is how we've operated. They said it's like you have a goldfish bowl full of cash, and you get your budget, and it says you have this much. But then everybody just comes to the goldfish bowl and pulls out the cash. So even though on paper it says you have this much, when you come to get your money out of the goldfish bowl, it's not there. That's what someone told me that has experience. And you know the tree by its fruit. So now we're beginning to see we're paying the price. We're paying the price now. And again, I'm not saying everything would have been rosy. I mean, as soon as I got elected, it would have still fallen apart. However, one thing I can say, and of course this is debatable, this is conjecture, this is just me, my opinion. Like, I know my heart. I know for a fact my heart was in it. I know how much I enjoy living in this city. And I know 100% I would do things that would be more long-term based rather than just a quick Band-Aid to patch it. You know, I ran for the right reasons. When we were on here, when Greg and I were on here before the election,
October,
there was one. I saw one comment that's on the Facebook feed. One comment, and it really stuck with me. Still sticks with me. And it said something like, "He doesn't even have anything good to say about Newcastle. I don't even know why he lives here." And it hit me. You know, I'm like, dude, because this guy knew me. I mean, these people that cheered me on when I was on the county council for the very same things I was saying, but it was against their people. All of a sudden, now I'm the bad guy. And I thought, you know, here's the thing. Right now, we're on a podcast. I'm in a forum here with the mayor, who I believe has ran the city into the ground. And there's so many things people don't know. So what I had to say would sound bad. You know, if your city is about ready to go in the hole and go off the deep end,
that's the time you feel like it's mandatory to have the real honest conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I love this. I love living here. I still want to live here. I'm not moving.
So what's the next 3 to 4 years look like for Clay Morgan?
So to sum that up, it's crazy that you just text me today, because literally last night I took the Facebook app off my phone. I still have the account. I'm still there, but I took it off my phone, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to dust my feet off. And I'm going to focus on some things over these next few years. I'm going to keep track, but I'm going to live my life because I feel like I'm to the point now where I'm possibly just beating a dead horse, and I'm reaching the same 200 people all the time, and nobody else is hearing it. And it got very disappointing to me, very disheartening when in my small circle, how many people felt like it didn't matter what they thought. It didn't matter if they contacted their officials. It wasn't going to do any good. And this is their opinion. They're going to do what they want to do anyway. And that's disheartening. It is. And I understand it's the political climate. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But it's disheartening. And it's sad that that's the way it is.
I mean, that's not the way it should be as an elected official and former elected official.
Yeah.
I mean, you work for your constituents.
I know many of us feel that way.
Yeah. Like,
right?
if somebody calls me and they have a concern, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to take it at face value and investigate and try to find a solution no matter what. And I think I could say for our council, I think the county council, we work in good faith, and there's a lot of trust among us. And and I'm really glad for that climate.
Yeah.
It's not always like that. And we certainly have some tension with other departments in the county, but as a council, I know if anybody came to us, we would. We care.
Just tell the truth.
I'm still just waiting on somebody to fix my big hole at 14th and Vine.
Right.
For the water riser that's there.
I drove by there, and they have paved over. Apparently paved over manhole covers now, but they paved over a manhole cover. I know that's a drain, so they can't pave it, but like 6 feet away, like there's a manhole cover that's been leveled with asphalt, like 6 feet from your hole. So they've stared at it. They probably parked over it while they were doing the work.
Who's which department would that fall under?
Streets, I would imagine.
Yeah,
they're
street
probably
department.
responsible for the streets.
Have you called or sent an email?
I've spoken to the mayor. I've spoken to council people.
And I know what comes up with that, and these are excuses, obviously, at times, is that when they pave those roads, the contractor's supposed to take care of all of that. And then by the time that they figure out that they didn't, the contractor is gone. And the contractors, the road contractors, apparently are like the after storm roofing guys. They're here today, gone tomorrow. You can't get them to come back once they're gone. So I don't know.
Yeah, but
that's not really a satisfactory excuse for
you
a
can
lot of
also
that stuff to
withhold
happen.
payment for services that weren't
Yeah.
rendered. Come back and finish your punch list.
Yeah, there's some other roads that were like pretty bad about that too. Like, oh great, it's brand new pavement, bam, and you hit a manhole cover that's now 2 inches below the road level. It's awful.
With all of that said, there are some cool things happening here at downtown Newcastle. The public parking lot that we have access to just outside the studio here, and 5 others downtown, are getting ready to get some love. AB Seal Coating got a contract from the city. Hopefully they get paid out of that fishbowl before the money disappears. But they're supposed to be coming through and
One lot at a time.
and cleaning. Well,
cash upon service. Like they literally just have Ashley just sitting there with the check, just waiting,
Right.
Yeah. No, you missed a spot. They should be able to do that. Government should be able to be that petty about stuff. Because sometimes you need to be.
You can be as an owner. So they're going to go in level and fill holes, seal coat, and then restripe. And I have had so much in the 6 years we've been in the studio. I've had so much entertainment watching the parking lot here at on Race Street on the south end of downtown. Because there are some apartment complexes where people just park wherever the hell they want to park in the city lot.
Yeah.
They'll be working on cars. They'll be on blocks.
Oh wow.
I want to see what it looks like when it gets restriped and they put things in where they go. It's going to be really interesting to see how that gets handled. Because when you get something nice, you want to take care of it, right, guys? You want to make it look like a good parking lot.
Exactly.
Because right now, honestly, there's 6 downtown city parking lots, and I'm not sure that we advertise or make it known.
No.
Hey, this is a public lot. Anybody can park here.
And one of them, I think,
I don't think so.
is that's right off the plaza. I think there's stuff under it that's not supposed to be under it. I think it was one of those things back in the day where they're like, oh, we're putting a parking lot here. We can throw some stuff in here before we lay the pavement down. So I think it's some weird.
Wow,
I want to I can't remember if there's like a car and a boiler or something under it. I think they told one day that there was some stuff that was like buried under it. So that'd be interesting to see how they get that fixed. Yeah, it'd be nice because people complain about parking and for some of the events, and we have a crazy restaurant scene from like 5 years ago. People like you thought, oh, there's nowhere to eat downtown. You had Primo, and then now it's like you have choices. So those people need places to park. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's downtown is really looking good. You think of everything that Main Street, Carrie Barrett, all the volunteers. It looks really nice. It looks really nice. I love the banners on the side of Broad celebrating, different events, celebrating our veterans, all the flower pots, seeing all these businesses come in. You literally probably 30 feet away, there's going to be a Caribbean restaurant outdoors, which looks super fun.
I am desperately hoping they're open on Tuesday nights. My birthday was Tuesday. We were going to just go get, I wanted to have a local in-town dinner. All I cared about. Let's have Japanese food. Rolled up the Japanese restaurant, closed on Tuesdays.
Oh,
I'm like, oh no. Pulled out the phone. I'm like, all right, where can we go? Let's go to Primo. Closed on Tuesday. All right, fine. Let's go to Kai's. Closed on Tuesday.
it's a
Son of a gun.
big
Yeah.
restaurant. This is a conspiracy.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, they are all, I don't know what's going on. They're all having dinner with each other on Tuesday. Hey, you want to go to the tap house? No, they're out of town this week. They're closed. All right. Guess we're going to back porch. Nope. They're closed. So
What about Ink and Ale?
we went to Ink and Ale.
Okay.
And it was packed. You know why?
Because everything
Because
else
they
is
were
shut down.
open and everybody else is closed on a Tuesday.
Oh my gosh.
We need a restaurant that just says, you know what? These guys should get together and just stagger a little bit. Make sure that you have your local options open. You don't have to be open 7 days a week, but set yourselves up. Because I tell you what, you can do a pretty good business on Monday or Tuesday night.
Yeah, and in talking to several of those restaurant owners, they're all excited. That they're excited for
They're
each
good
other.
for each other.
Yeah, like it's like a very. I mean, obviously it's competitive, but it's very friendly, and it's just a good vibe.
It can become very synergistic, right? Like feeding off each other.
I can tell you, we go all the
No
time.
pun
We'll
intended.
walk over from the Elks and check out Ink and Ale, or maybe we'll go down to the tap house from here. I mean, Primo, when the timing's right, we love to go to Primo. It's just you just have to be open. So
Yeah. And
I would have had my second Kai's experience, but they're closed on Tuesday.
and
Pick a different day to be closed.
you guys know I've always been really interested in economic development, and we are an area that could be growing as in metropolitan Indianapolis grows our way on 70. And we need young people. We have per capita a very old county, we're one of the poorer counties. As we consider what kind of economic development we want and how we get young people here to come pay taxes, people our age, they want amenities. They want things to do. That's their number one thing, the quality of life, more than salary, more than a lot of things. And just seeing this cool stuff come downtown and come into the county and being able to, utilize these services it's exciting because it's going to bring people into town.
And we have to realize that as a community, you don't have to go to a job here. You can work virtually. You can if you've got a great internet connection, you can work from here. And some of those are very high paying jobs that none of us understand, right? Brian Nichols works out of this office and he does just fine.
Yeah.
And he brought his job from Pennsylvania. My wife has worked from home and now is working for a new company from our spare bedroom. Right. That's not a job. That job only exists in Henry County, Indiana, because we live here. It's not like there's an employer that brought it here. Betsy, you have a similar experience.
Absolutely.
Where with good internet, anybody can live anywhere.
Absolutely. And I've been working remotely since 2016. It's great. I teach for Penn State. I teach communications in one of the best communication departments in the world. Great colleagues. I go back to see them. I have Zoom meetings with them. I have students all over the world. And it's great. But I pay taxes here and I love that. And I'm glad to be home. I'd much rather be in Indiana than
even with these tax increases that are coming, you're still going to pay those taxes here.
They're happening everywhere. That's the thing. We're all everywhere is raising taxes because we can't afford inflation. We can't afford everything that's happening. It's economically it's kind of bloodbath. So,
and here's one slight comment on that. I was talking to someone today, and I've said this often. What I don't want us to become, and what I'm concerned we will become if we continue to go this direction, is we're just going to become another one of those communities that other people are trying to get away from.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And when my thinking was that. So without going down the dark rabbit hole, I feel like we're headed for some trouble as a nation. And so that's going to impact.
We're heading for trouble.
Yeah. Well,
we're already in trouble.
My opinion is it's going to get worse. And as it gets worse, then, it'll affect the state and then it'll affect us locally. But if we don't take this time to prepare for that, like if we have people making decisions that don't have that foresight, it's like this. We're perfectly prepared for a world that doesn't exist anymore. And so we're basing decisions based off how things used to be because they always used to work that way. But if we could have some foresight, I feel like we had the ability to create a community that as things get dark around us, people go, hey, why is it working over there? Why are those people okay? And we create an environment that people actually want to come to. But if we just do things like everybody else is doing, then why would they come here? You know what I mean? Like I said, I think the best way to put it is I don't want to see us become a community that everyone's trying to get away from. Like they are going to go to those communities where there's light, where they're not being and I know this is just very raw way to put it, but taxed to death, right? Fees and taxes.
Absolutely.
And,
I mean,
the way you can not have to have the tax to death situation is by adding headcount, right?
Absolutely.
You have to add
right.
people.
Which is
And that's
more
that's
population
the key.
solves the issue.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to take it.
If your community is growing, then
Absolutely.
you spread your costs out over
100%,
right?
100%.
So we've got a lot of homes that are being built. Hopefully there's more. Those people can bring in those virtual jobs. It doesn't have to be a new factory that comes in. It doesn't have to be a cornfield or a bean field that gets used that creates 40 jobs. We can do this in a next generation
Yeah.
way and not just be looking for
And
the
that-
heavy
yeah.
manufacturing
And
that
that's
the
a
community
very good
was based
point.
on for
Yes.
70 years.
Well,
Yes.
and I'm glad to see, like, currently, with Ready 2.0, which is the
Yeah.
funding mechanism that Indiana has for different regional areas, not counties, it's regional areas because
Yeah.
of overall impact. And Henry County, like, our big requests had been one of the big ones is at 3 and 70, developing that area, developing infrastructure so we can build there. I think that's great. Like, that's what we need. That allows us to bring in businesses. That allows us to bring in housing, and people want to live near. A lot of people want to live near an interstate, so they can jump on the road and go to work in Indy or wherever. So good things are happening there.
Yeah,
I
that
just
makes
hope
sense.
I just hope
Yep.
those folks look at the map and see that it's an interstate and don't drive on it, because they're going to find that they need an alignment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They fixed a little bit of it. They fixed a little bit of it a couple weeks ago.
If you're trying, it is an economic emergency.
Is
Got
it a
back from
specific
Ohio.
spot or
It's
well-
the spot is from the state line to Greenfield.
But in
the spot.
okay.
But in particular, Newcastle to Knightstown had some horrendous sections where the concrete was breaking up. And it was I don't understand road construction. Jeremiah might be able to comment on this. For some reason, they would lay concrete under bridges, so you'd be driving on asphalt interstate, and then when you go under a bridge, it would switch to concrete. There'd be these patches of concrete, and that was breaking up, and it was so bad that we would avoid. I don't tow on 70 unless I absolutely have to, because it feels like I'm breaking my trailer.
Huh.
I'd rather just take the
Wow.
highways and byways. And it's the second time in a couple of years that stretch of road has had to have an emergency, unscheduled repave for sections of it because it was so bad. There was a couple of years ago where they were having 4 to 6 blown semi tires per day.
Oh wow.
I have this
On that
fantasy
stretch.
That's
of
crazy.
getting all of
Yeah.
our state representatives and state senators to go sit in my truck with me,
Ah.
and I just leave from the Newcastle exit, go down to about Mount Comfort Road, turn around, and come back,
Yeah.
and say, "Is this acceptable to you?"
Now
When I'm pulling the camper.
Greenfield Inn's not as bad now because they've redone most of that. Especially Greenfield and Mount Comforts. There's a
Or just
stretch of that-
Knightstown to Richmond.
Nice town, yeah. But yeah, there was a stretch where I would go. I commute to Indianapolis a couple times a week, and there was a stretch when it was real bad where you just kind of knew where the potholes were, and you would just find yourself just kind of weaving around them. And then the other days, until they fixed it, where there was like, and this was years ago. This is during the Pence administration. And it's not his fault necessarily, but that's who is. But there was like, and there'd be 4 semis pulled over. And it was on the traffic report at the time. They said, hey, 70's got problems. It's not anything in particular. The road's just so terrible that people are blowing tires. It's like, come on, guys.
It's been bad for a while.
Yeah.
Well, and that's an interesting perspective that you guys have. I've never hauled anything.
Yeah.
So I've never even thought about like that perspective.
Yeah.
Horrific.
There used to be a section of 70 near people know there's a campground on the north side of 70 near Greenfield. There used to be a section right there where I don't know what it was, but you thought everything that you were towing was coming apart, and it was just the road. And you just knew that, okay, I just got to get through this. This is horribly uncomfortable. It feels like the trailer suspension is doing something horrible, and you just get to Mount Comfort and it would just stop. So, yeah.
Well, good news is we have 2 candidates for governor. You've got Jennifer McCormick, the Democrat, who's local, who probably is aware of this issue. And then you've got Mike Braun as a Republican, and he has promised over and over and over that he wants to be accessible to anybody, that he will meet with anybody. So maybe you invite Governor Braun if he wins, which he very likely will.
I don't know. We still got that rainwater thing too.
Donald Rainwater, sure. The governor's race could be absolutely fascinating, but
It is actually, yeah, because it's, for people who are not familiar, Jennifer McCormick was the last elected Republican superintendent of public instruction and was disenfranchised by the way she saw things happening with education while she was in that position, and then has since flipped parties. And she's local, so like she was in the Memorial Day parade and she walked by my house on her way back. So yeah, she knows people here, so it's an interesting race.
And she has been in my barbershop.
There we go.
has she?
All right, let's transition before we run out of time today, or this presidency comes to an end before the press conference is over. There have been calls for President Biden to step aside. A lot of people have been calling for former President Trump to step aside, but I don't think that anybody's going to actually do that one. But Biden, there's been a lot of rumor, a lot of talk since the debate performance. The president is now in the press conference saying, "I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm here to complete the job that I started."
Yeah.
He also said,
we only signed up for 4 years.
that's right. It's not an automatic second term. He also said, and I wrote this down earlier, I'm the most qualified
Yeah, I
person
saw
to
that.
run for president.
That's
Right.
That's the lower bar for.
So he's not stepping
know.
down tonight.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the realities
I just
are
got what you-
that the pressure has been mounting on him.
Yes.
The fundraising has in the last 2 weeks has really slipped back significantly. Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who's been a very strong Biden advocate, has said basically it's up to him to decide.
Mhm.
So in the first couple days after the debate, it was, well, yes, of course he's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Things have dragged out, and you can't say anything other than the guy's going to be fine, because once you say that, it's done, right? You have to keep saying,
You have to play along.
you have to keep saying the words, or else it doesn't work anymore.
Well, it's fascinating to watch. Like, the media has covered his ass so much, like protected him, all the infrastructure around him to prevent what happened 2 weeks ago in that debate from being so obvious, but he gave it away because he's clearly deteriorating in real time. He obviously is suffering some sort of neurological.
Just aging.
Yeah, he's
Right,
just aging.
right,
He reminds me of
right.
my grandpa who had Alzheimer's, and
Right.
it's I mean, this is a sad situation. I personally am really ticked off at the media for all the playing along until they couldn't play along anymore. One of my favorite journalists, I love the Free Press, not the Detroit Free Press, but the Free Press. It's online. Barry Weiss, formerly from the New York Times, some of the best journalism in the world. Straight, conservative perspectives, liberal, down the middle. They just have really, really good pieces. And she wrote, "Rarely are so many lies dispelled in a single moment. Rarely are so many people exposed as liars and sycophants. Last night's debate was a watershed on both counts." And as the world is falling apart, we're losing trust in our institutions. And we have President Biden who doesn't know where he is right now.
There was a lot of video of former President Johnson deciding that he was done. He was going to step aside. And that's kind of the precedent that some folks have used, saying, hey, you've got to, if you're looking at this from a Democratic strategy, what the conversation you should be having or hope to be having with President Biden is that you've accomplished some great things for your agenda, right? And that's what Johnson did. He was probably the most effective Democratic president since FDR, with civil rights, with Medicare, Medicaid, all of those programs that got done on his watch in that 4 years. President Biden has done the same thing for a liberal agenda in getting his infrastructure bill passed and getting some appointments and getting some regulatory things done, where folks can celebrate that 4 years is very successful for the agenda that they have, and save face and say, hey, let's not go lose horrifically to a convicted felon, or let's not go sign up and then have something happen or have to invoke the 25th Amendment here, because there's not a good path forward. And that you're starting to see, like, as you said, fundraising's dried up. George Clooney, who's I guess he speaks for Hollywood in the donor class.
He had a fundraiser for Biden 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He was with the man, and I was like, oh, come on, George, like, tell the truth.
And now he says that he should step aside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 3
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Ron Milford does remind us that Johnson couldn't shake Vietnam. That there are terminal problems with the presidency, right?
Oh,
Vietnam was a terminal
it's like
problem. This
Biden won't shake Afghanistan withdrawal, right? I don't think so.
I'll never forgive it.
I mean, he'll always be remembered as the one that was in when that happened.
for the one that ended the war. Yeah.
Now women in Afghanistan they have no rights.
I think it's easy for me here in rural Indiana to say this, right? But I think there was definitely a better way to withdraw. I don't oppose the withdrawal, especially now that I've just lost a lot of faith in government, period. And I don't oppose the withdrawal at all. But what's sad is the way it happened. That was sad. So
So in the last week, 4 more Democratic members of Congress have said that Joe Biden should drop out of the race. Adam Smith of Washington, Jerry Nadler of New York State, Mark Tancato of California, and Joe Morelli of New York, no relation. All have said that he should step aside. Major powerhouse names on the Democrat side, committee chairman, etc. You're starting to see some fear from folks that are going to be on the ticket with him, saying, "Hey, we don't want to be we don't want to lose our careers because we're playing this game."
Absolutely. And here's how I think about it too a lot is, if this is what we're seeing publicly, it is, I'm sure, behind the scenes, crazy, cutthroat, scheming, planning. I mean, I've seen how dirty just local politics could be.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that level when you're literally dealing in billion-dollar deals.
It's like Succession, but real.
It's crazy. It's like I'm watching this Netflix program, but then I snap into reality and like, no, this is actually happening.
I wouldn't have picked her, Vice President Harris, unless I thought she was qualified to be president.
Okay. Well, you had me on the hook there for a second. I was like, what?
What can be unburdened by what has been?
Exactly.
Have you ever seen that video?
Exactly.
What's that mean, Betsy?
I don't know. I literally don't know. In good faith, I have no idea what the hell that means.
Maybe it's a subliminal message about President Biden that we can. He has been president, but we can be unburdened by what has been.
So
it's the Democrats have had 4 years to get her into shape to be president, and she's just word salad. She is Selena Myers from Veep. Like I really had higher expectations for her.
Harris ran for president and had a very poor showing when she was running for president against Biden, to the point where she wasn't taken to be that serious. And then President Biden selected her to be vice president, and she's served the term. But it's been pretty unremarkable, in my opinion. And I try to be fair in this, right? I really do, because I genuinely, I'm fine with Joe. Like, I'm fine with Joe Biden 10 years ago. He's not the guy I would pick, but I don't want, I haven't been happy with a president in my life, right? Yeah. Like, none of these people are my selection, but I was really unhappy with the one we had before this one. This one's more of a do no harm until you get to the point where you can't function. And then you've got to do something. In my opinion, you have to do something different and have mercy on the country and move on. That said, since he's not stepping aside today, this next segment may not make any sense. We're going to go through it anyway. Possible succession on the Democratic side. The folks over at Politico, Calder McHugh, put together a list that we're going to base this conversation on. And you guys can jump in, Zach, you too, in this. The list that they had put together, the kind of the profile on these folks, and if you could, whether or not they're your favorite pick, is it somebody you would accept? Could you live with them? And could you compared to the other options that are on the ticket? By the way, last week we were completely wrong. RFK Jr. will be on the Indiana ballot. We said there's no way in hell it's going to happen.
I saw
and
that.
Somehow the Kennedys found 25,000 signatures in Indiana to make up the difference.
I didn't think it was going to happen. I know.
So you'll have four choices in Indiana. Chase Oliver, Kennedy, Democrat to be named later, Republican to be nominated later. Yeah. But you got four right now.
Do you think because of the four, do you think that impacts? Do you think that's enough to really? Because I believe Trump wins Indiana, period.
Oh, straight
doubt. Ticket voting.
Well, yeah, right.
Indiana's got straight ticket voting.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
You think that kills it? That puts it in the
Doesn't
bag?
matter. Yeah.
Okay.
For Indiana, those electoral votes are already done. So first name that the Politico folks had talked about was Vice President Kamala Harris, 59 years old. I've been saying under 70. That's a win. That's a win right there.
She's young enough.
Be the first lady president.
I didn't think she was that old.
Just like in Veep.
I mean,
Zach, could you live with this candidate?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I want at this point. I just want someone.
You're a token Democrat.
Yeah,
so you have to speak for the entire party.
Yeah. The most do no harm person is like, I really wondered, like, this is the two best people we have. Is like, seriously, like, we could just get somebody who's just doesn't want to make a legacy necessarily, doesn't want to make their mark in some crazy fashion or whatever, and just wants to be like, let's just get stuff functioning and like get stuff done, because the legacy stuff, it gets problematic because at times that people pay for that. And so yeah, I don't know. I could probably live with her.
And here's what's sad to me about what you said is I don't see anyone that would fit that.
Oh, everybody wants to make their mark.
Everybody wants
to make a mark,
right? And I get you want to make your impact, right?
Yeah.
Like I get that. Like I think it's cool, you know, like to be a part of it, but I think so much of it is ran by selfish ambition, man.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if the infrastructure bill is somebody's legacy, that's fine. I guess if my roads are better, but some of the other stuff you see people prioritizing,
yeah.
And I'm not sure the truth of whatever the something 2025 plan thing is that's floating around. But some of that's scary because it's going after people, and like, so you have people that are scared because they're people, and this plan is coming after them. I don't know of anything that Biden's done that's gone after people. He's like, we're going to get the roads fixed. I'm like, I think we can all agree that the roads suck and the roads need fixed. And so I think you've got that going on where,
Considering my career, that's one of the reasons why I've been pretty cool with them.
yeah. Yeah, I think I could. Yeah. If she's just like more of kind of what we've got in the last 4 years, but without like wandering around lost or like not figuring out if he could sit down or stand up in an area, but there's no chairs.
Clay and Betsy,
That's
this
fine.
is, you're Republicans, but you're allowed to weigh in on this. Could you, compared to the options, could you live with this candidate? Or is this a poison pill?
Only if she gets serious.
Okay.
I don't see her as a very serious person, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just think she's goofy, and if she's going to be the first female president, I want her to be a rock star, regardless of party. So I would expect her to get her act together.
Clay?
I may commit political suicide right now.
Oh, you did that a while ago.
But
You agreed to come back on this show.
Hey, yeah. I'm going to be honest, man. Like I've literally, when I say I've lost faith in this government, in the federal government, especially, I've truly lost faith. I don't know how else to say it. I am literally sickened by where we're at right now as a nation. And so as I look across this spectrum of what's going on, I've wrestled with myself on on voting. Let me be sure I choose my words correctly on voting. And I've got to be able to live with myself after I vote. There are things that I'm concerned about with all candidates right now that may be okay for 1 or 2 years, but then long term, what does that lead to? For instance, when you admit that you're only going to surround yourself with people who do nothing but agree with you, and you surround yourself with yes men, as we would say, yes women, however you want to put it, that's frightening.
So no to bootlickers.
I think you just, so anyways, I'm very, very serious about this situation. I don't mean to over dramatize it. I'm extremely concerned. I don't like what's happening. And I feel like no matter which way things go, America as a whole will suffer. We will.
I'm gonna put him down as a maybe then. For sure. All right,
So-
JB Pritzker. Do you guys know who JB Pritzker is?
I do, and I don't like it.
All right. So he's the governor of our neighboring state to the west, Illinois. Also 59 years old. He's been reelected governor once. He
bought the
is a
seat.
multi-billionaire over in Illinois. His family is they're like modern day Vanderbilts or modern day Hiltons, but they're the Hyatt hotels. That's them, and then some Berkshire Hathaway money in there too. So he is loaded. He has a fundraising ability. Just billionaire running against billionaire is what we could find ourselves with. Back to Zach.
I don't know.
Billionaire
I don't know
Democrat who
anybody.
runs
Is this guy
Illinois.
self-made or is this guy
Family money.
family money? Nah, not. I bet he has no concept of what real people actually deal with on a day-to-day basis. Like
That's our issue,
he could make a decision, and he has literally no idea that like you're talking about like the water bills going up. Or well, we'll just raise the tax a little bit. You have no idea because at no point has he ever.
He doesn't know
not
how
had,
much a gallon of milk is.
He's never had
What could a banana
gas
cost? $10
or groceries. He's probably never set foot in a grocery store in his entire life, unless he was like 16 or whatever. So, yeah, he's not. He is, and Trump's the same way. They have no contact with reality to know what their decisions are going to do to real people. And I bet nobody in his family has ever gone into the military, probably because they don't want them to, because they're too precious or something. That might be wrong.
Now,
that is wrong. He
guessing.
has a cousin that was in the military.
A cousin, though.
Yeah.
They're
Jennifer Pritzker.
they are having the Democratic convention in Chicago, of which he's the governor of the state it's going to be in. It'll be very tidy. Clay, your endorsement for J.B. Pritzker?
I honestly don't even know who he is.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
And
Betsy?
I have some issues with the Pritzker family. The way they use their money, there's some real creepy stuff there. So, and I totally agree. I don't think a billionaires, unless they made it themselves in their lifetime, like there's no way they can relate to the average American. There's just no way. If you grow up with billions of dollars, you're never going to understand the common man or woman. So, no, absolutely not.
Jay Pritzker co-founded Hyatt Hotels, and he after death, the estate was split up into 11 $1.4 billion pieces that everybody got a little share
It's
of.
like the hotel version of the Waltons.
Everybody got their $1 billion starter fund to go jumpstart your career. Gosh, what a good existence that would be. All right, so that's J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. Now it's just like major Democrat governors is the list that Politico has given us. Gavin Newsom of California.
No, because people hate California.
He was the mayor.
And here's the
mayor
thing,
of San Francisco before that.
Yeah,
he was
here's the
more
thing,
hated.
I don't mind anything about what California stands for or what California does. I really don't care. They are the kind of crazy liberal think tank experiment on the West Coast. They do what they want. If it fails, it fails. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you know what? The people want to be there. People are like, oh, people are moving out of California. I don't know. They're still the most populous state in the United States by a long shot. So let them do their thing over there. I don't really want. I would, if he could say, yeah, if I became president, then I will have to taper back all these things I'm pushing for because I'm going to have to moderate those things to a national audience. Maybe. But like, I think the fact that he's just the California governor, a huge chunk of the moderate population are going to be like, no, because they don't want to deal with the craziness that is West Coast liberal politics. I don't have a problem. Like I said, I people hate on California. I'm like, the weather's good. There's a reason why people are out there, and they're doing things, and the stuff that works probably works its way into the rest of the country. So let him be that.
During the COVID era, he got caught a number of times violating the COVID rules, eating in restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. He was the true animal farm.
So did our governor.
Yeah, governors like to do what they wanted to do there.
Rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah, a lot of Orwellian stuff. Clay, can you live with the governor of California?
No.
Okay, all right. Shocking, truly shocking.
Zach said it very well. That was good. Yeah, like
Betsy, is this a no out of hand for you?
Yeah. But the one perk would be that his ex-wife is Donald Jr.'s girlfriend.
Are you
Kimberly
kidding me?
Guilfoyle. Yeah. So I love the drama between the two families there. Like that to me is amusing.
Thanksgiving dinner this year would be so crazy.
Yeah. So, but no, I think he's too liberal. I think he's intelligent. I think he's charismatic. I think he has the look, but I think he's too liberal. I have family in California. I personally think that it's a dumpster fire in a lot of ways. It's very pretty. It's very pretty. It's lots of great stuff out there. It's the 5th biggest economy in the world. But when I look at the way decisions are made in San Francisco and LA, to me, it's at a local government level, it's absolute nonsense.
Zach, the next identified candidate is Ms. Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, another state bordering us. Swing state. She'd be the first female president. She won re-election during COVID. She caught a lot of flack during the COVID time. But she's won a swing state a few times now. Michigan's a really important state in the presidential election. Doesn't have some of the baggage that you would have being tied to President Trump. She was nearly abducted during.
Wasn't that fake? Wasn't that the FBI like talking people into doing that?
I don't know much about her, but I would say that she probably would have a pretty good chance of like pulling people from both, like pulling moderates from both sides, because that's a state where people are like, that might be the most blue collar state that the United States has.
Trump won Michigan.
The like Detroit, and they've had some messes up there. I don't know how much. I mean, people are still going. I think Michigan. I think Flint, Michigan. So you think about that, but that's kind of a municipal issue as much as anything. So but I think that part of the country, more than Illinois, because I'll be honest, you said Illinois governor. I'm like, have we vetted this guy? Because how many Illinois governors have served time? Because I immediately think of Blagojevich and those guys. And so that's a state that's
Rod
just
Blagojevich.
a mess. But like Michigan, I'm like, you know what? That's a state where I look up, I'm like, I bet those people know how to get stuff done. Yeah.
She won re-election by 11 percentage points.
Oh, good for her.
Which is tough to do in a state that Donald Trump won in 2016.
Yeah, and I think that like the Union stronghold on Democrats is falling apart. And I don't know if maybe in Michigan it's really holding down. I'm not sure, because that's still a very a lot of car industry is up there. But for her to pull that, when I think that connection that's always been there is getting weaker and weaker every year, is impressive. Yeah, 11 points is good for her.
Clay?
It's interesting.
Somebody dropped a bowling ball above us in the apartment above.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I know
you haven't been programmed to hate her yet, so you didn't out of hand just say no.
Right, exactly. Well, and the thing is, like, I just remember the COVID stuff, right? But I find it interesting that she won again by so much. I mean, that says something, because the people vote, whether they however many vote. It's beside the point. They elected her. So, I mean, if we're playing, I have to pick a candidate because somebody's going to run. Would I'd rather her than the previous ones that we've mentioned to run on the Democrat ticket? Sure.
All right. You got a pass fail, and he's got his first pass. Sure. All right, Betsy.
She seems generally pretty competent to me. She's certainly
better than others.
Right. And she's fairly moderate.
Checks age 52.
Yeah. She seems sharp. I honestly don't know a lot about her compared to some of the other candidates, but if she were my president, I don't think I'd be embarrassed, but she's definitely better than most people on this list.
These are ringing endorsements, I think, at this point. Compared to,
okay, but do these sound like the way that you talk about anybody else in national politics right now?
I have 3 names that I'll provide.
They're all kind of like, I don't think there's not too many people that you just like, yeah, I'm about them. And I'll be dead honest. If Trump's probably got more of those people than anybody, I don't really want to understand those people's thought processes, because most of the time they're not particularly sound.
We're getting down to the end of my list. I've got 3 names left here, and we're going to pick up the pace. Josh Shapiro. Shapiro is when I wrote Shapiro in the notes, I thought Dakota's going to see this and think Shapiro. I'm like, yes, Ben Shapiro, I'm in.
Yeah, right. I haven't spent too much time in your guys' chats. I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Josh Shapiro is the governor of Pennsylvania. He's known for being a guy that came up through the ranks. He was a state representative, county commissioner from Philadelphia area. He was the attorney general. Now he's been governor, so he's been winning elections along the way.
Is he the one that unilaterally changed the election laws for the state last time?
I don't know. I didn't read that on Newsmax. I'm not sure.
Okay.
He's only been in office a couple of years.
He's only 51.
Gotcha.
So he's 20 years from being old enough to run for president, really.
25 maybe.
So he's the Democrats' good chance of winning Pennsylvania, and probably could pick up some GOP votes, but he has no national identity at all. Nobody. He's just generic Shapiro Democrat. So that's I think that's the big thing, is that nobody knows who the hell he is. He does have some centrist positions on law enforcement and public schools that perhaps could be trouble for his folks. Any thoughts, Zach?
I'll say a lighter version. He said he lacks some identity, but probably similar to Whitmer. But I think Pennsylvania, like a I'm trying to think. I associate them with their state, and I associate their state with like, are common sense people existing there? And I would think Pennsylvania, yes. Like, he's Chip Ganassi's governor, so he can't be too bad. I mean, I don't know anything about
this
him.
This is the state
so.
that Brian Nichols hated so much during COVID that he moved to Newcastle, Indiana.
Yes.
Yes. Well, the part he was in, Philly,
which is where this guy's from.
Well,
he's listening to this radio on his radio the next day, screaming about how proud this person is, and I'm truly enjoying it because he was invited. To
I think though, it'd be interesting to see how people. I guess this guy wasn't in during COVID. Like a lot of Brian's issues for how COVID was handled. What states handled COVID well, and was there any political correlation between how happy you were with how they handled it and like what they did? Because they all
and the mortality rate
were like crazy. Because then people were talking about how crazy things were in Indiana. I'm like, yeah, and at the time we didn't have a Democrat over us except for like mayor. Like everybody else above us was Republicans, and they were all doing.
There's a lot of people that said Eric Holcomb was governing like a Democrat.
I love my gov.
Yeah, I know, but see, I don't blame him. Like a lot of it's hindsight's 2020. And then, I mean, I was just reading something about looking up somebody online and like how they die of COVID. I mean, people literally died. There was a lot of people that died, so I don't limit people for that. But yeah,
it's hindsight is 2020. Like when we were in that moment where you're talking about what businesses are essential, we're getting data from China that says 5% of people who get COVID will die, which was obviously insanely inflated. It was just totally unprecedented. I just came into office in January 2020 when I won the caucus to replace Mike Thalls, and 3 months later we're having these meetings in the courtroom where we're 6 feet apart, which is made up. Thank you, Dr. Fauci. I'm so disenfranchised with so many institutions. Anyway, but like the governor was getting advice from Dr. Chris Box, and she was giving the best advice she could. They had those press conferences every day, and I think he tried to implement it based on the data we had. Yeah. And as soon as the data was better, that's what's interesting. Who said, okay, we need to back off and listen to the data versus those who kept the power.
Yeah, but everybody was crazy at first because it was an unprecedented.
Yeah, thing, so I think you have to. I think the Eric Holcombs of the world did everything in good faith. Really tried to do things in good faith versus like a lot of Democratic leaders who were like, "No, we're still going to mask the kids at school all day," even though
Betsy Mills endorsing Eric Holcomb to run as Democrat, the president. So Zach can live with Josh. Zach endorses Josh.
Sir.
Oh, you wouldn't vote for him if he was. See, this is the problem with America. So you put a Democrat, you put the Democrat name by him, you won't vote for him now.
I can probably tolerate him.
So Shapiro, yes, fine. Any feelings?
What I would have to do before I answer this question is talk to Brian Nichols.
All right. You need to phone a friend.
I would.
Betsy on Shapiro.
When I was in Pennsylvania, like he was on my radar as like climbing up the ranks. He's better than the Tea Party governor who cost me my job at Penn State for a year when he destroyed the funding for the public universities in Pennsylvania. So as long as he doesn't cut Penn State's budget, I don't know. I don't find him offensive. I don't know what skeletons he might have, but he doesn't seem like a maniac.
2 more names left on our list here, and then Betsy will have hers, and we'll move on. Another governor, neighboring Indiana. We are surrounded by Democrat governors. Nobody's ever written this down before, but Andy Beshear, governor of Kentucky. His dad was Steve Beshear, who had been governor before. Andy is only 46, so he's very spry. 2 terms. He's won now as governor of Kentucky, a state that has Republican senators, has been a Trump. I don't think they voted for Republicans for president since, I don't know, the FDR. It's been a while. Not a whole lot of national attention, but the guy's winning in very Republican communities, right? Not a lot of national experience. We don't have a lot of Kentucky governors, but maybe it's intriguing that you got somebody that could reach across the aisle and win some other spots. And young, 46. Zach?
Sure. Sounds great. I mean, honestly, that's a state that yeah. It probably could be anybody that sounds like they're kind of wishy-washy on like the people know, well, they're pulling this. If they're doing stuff in a state where they're pulling bipartisan support to get elected, yes, because I want somebody who can appeal to both sides. We don't need anybody else screaming from the end of the political spectrum.
Absolutely.
You want a grown up conversation. And
Oh my
somebody that's
God.
willing to work with somebody else.
At this point, I'll take a toddler conversation. A conversation would be amazing.
Zach,
But there's-
I think they're having a conversation about where to potty in the White House now. Just wait,
Oh
this
my
is
God.
this is where
I
you
hate
go.
that that's true.
but like just the ability to have a conversation would be amazing because that seems to be like not only not acceptable, it's vilified. It's vilified in the current political spectrum. So yes,
It's good at a local level, but not.
I think it's even good. Now I'm like, it's good at national. That was called diplomacy back in the day. It was to be able to hash things out, and there's just none of that anymore. So somebody who could potentially bring some of that, they might just get absolutely just stagnated because they can't get anything done with Congress. But at least they tried.
Clay, can you live with Andy Bashir? Andy Bashir for $100, sir.
Right. Well, one thing to tag on to what he said, I don't think any elected official can create the proper environment anymore. I think we, the people, have allowed ourselves to be so polarized that we have divided ourselves into these extremist positions. If you do have a candidate or someone who is willing to have a open, willing, critical thinking type conversation, they'll probably be shunned by the public and demonized. That being said, Andy, I would be interested in what he has to say. I have family in Kentucky. It is very, very interesting that a state that would elect Rand Paul would also elect Governor Andy.
You've got Rand Paul, Thomas Massey,
Yeah.
and
honestly,
Mitch
Mitch
McConnell.
McConnell,
Mitch McConnell
because
somehow is
Mitch
still
and
elected.
Rand are,
Very far apart.
it's interesting. So it is an interesting dynamic
Yeah.
there.
All right.
So,
Could you live with Bashir? Betsy?
Absolutely.
All right.
I think he's a real guy. I think he governs from the middle. He works across the aisle. Him being being elected twice as a Democrat in Kentucky is pretty impressive. So
One more name on the Politico list. 42-year-old Hoosier. We call him Mayor Pete, but he's actually the Secretary of Transportation, cabinet level officer. Pete Buttigieg, 42 years old. He's he's a prominent Biden appointee and member of the cabinet. He would have to be involved in that 25th Amendment conversation.
you would.
The power is in his hands right now as well. He's been the guy that's been probably, other than Harris, he's probably been one of the most prominent spokespeople in the administration for the president and for the president's agenda. And I think he had a lot of folks that were very aware of the work he did, and he's been visible with airlines, with the train derailments, some things in East Palestine, Ohio. Definitely had a very national profile. I think they had a big bridge collapse in Pennsylvania a few years ago, and the President Biden and Mayor Pete were out there the day it happened. I think there was a big event happening right next door that the president was there
got
for.
it done ahead of schedule.
And they
It was
got it
amazing.
turned around quickly. So he would also be the first openly gay president for the country. Check local listings on one that we may have had before Abe Lincoln. Could you live with Mayor Pete, Zach? Secretary
Yeah.
Pete.
Yeah, I think it'd be great, especially if he's allowed to run on his abilities as a government leader and it doesn't turn into a bunch of other garbage that people can't handle.
He hasn't won an election since he was elected
Yeah,
mayor of South Bend, Indiana. He did win the Iowa primary. He won some. He did well in the Democrat nomination, but did not win.
he
obviously.
might have the ability, and Bashir might too, because he's young, to mobilize younger voters, which would be good, and to maybe get them to not think that everything's just a bunch of old, lost, hateful white guys running everything. But yeah, so I personally could live with Mayor Pete.
I don't think I could. The attachments.
You've been trained not to like him. What's wrong?
I've been
Clay?
trained not to like him.
Show me on Mayor Pete what's wrong.
It's
What's the affliction?
a lot of it goes again back to trust levels. Like anyone that is already in that deep right now, I wouldn't trust him. So I would rather, like a Whitmer or I can't pronounce it. Is it Bashir?
Bashir.
Bashir. I would much rather have that because, like you
We're
said,
gonna take away your Hoosier card. I swear to God.
they're low profile. You know, they've worked in these areas where, again, especially Brashear. I mean, that one really stands out to me. A state that elects Rand Paul also elects him. There's a reason for that, right? So, anyways, that's really one of my reasons. I truly have so much little faith in current officials.
You know what those two men have in common? Both of their dads had major elected offices as well. Rand Paul's dad, Ron, was a long-term congressman in Florida, ran for president many times. And Governor Beshear's father was Governor Beshear.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I
didn't
know that.
That's the other side there too. All right. Can you live with Mayor Pete?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am obviously biased because I'm a fellow gay, but I think he's extraordinarily impressive. He's a veteran. He served in combat, Harvard grad. I mean, totally self-made. The dude is a rock star, and he's a moderate. I would hope that the nation would not hold it against him for being gay. I don't know that we're in that climate right now. I think things regarding all issues, GLBT, alphabet soup, whatever, are so negative right now and weird. And yeah,
he's 42. So, I hope that he has a fair opportunity in the next 15 to 20 years.
Well, I think he will.
But I would run in excitement for that one.
I think
compared to the other option.
When he's testified in Congress a couple of times the last couple of weeks, and the Republican reps on the committees have been asking him questions, trying to make him look bad, and he is just so schooled and so informed. He makes them look like idiots. He's great. I wish he were a Republican. That would be a lot of fun.
When they were doing the Democrat presidential primary, he was the one that I thought was the most well-spoken of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
It is so much so it really, really stood out. And he made it quite a ways.
He did. And I don't see him as being quite as like power hungry and climbing as a lot of these other folks. And, he has made his own career. And a lot of these people, come from enormous privilege and money. And
I can see that. Yeah.
I'd love to see interviews with them and then judge them on where they are on the spectrum from confidence to arrogance. And then because I want somebody in the confidence category, not the arrogance.
Right.
Because I don't think anybody is actually qualified to be the president of the United States when they come into it because they don't know everything. They tell you that you
God
get in there.
God knows the thing you learn the first day.
Yes, yeah. They give you the book or whatever, national treasure stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
And so anybody who gets elected president should be scared to death going into that. And if they're not I got this handled, I'm like, you don't, because nobody does. There's nobody they need to all understand that they have to rise into or grow into that position, and that they should have the people around them to get them into that position as well. They're not going to have all the answers right away. That's where you need to build a good cabinet. But if there's some guys I got this whip. You got on the internet some guys the people that brag about being the best at almost anything, like parenting or whatever. They're always the worst because they have no self-awareness. They don't know what they don't know.
Dunning-Kruger syndrome.
It's just I'd love to hear interviews and okay, yeah, you're good. You seem a little scared. I can see a little glimmer in your eye. That's fine. That's expected.
So Betsy, you took the initiative and have some more names beyond the political list.
Yes.
What do you have for us?
First, sell me
on a Democrat.
Oh, these are not Democrats.
Oh, damn it! That was the point. That was the. Oh, wait. You giving me replacements for Trump? Because I'm willing to entertain.
I have a Democrat that I think they want on the ticket.
I don't know what one of these political orientation is. The first would be my hero and idol, Condoleezza Rice, brilliant woman. I think she could unite the country.
Warmonger. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Well,
all right.
Second would be former Senator of Nebraska, Ben Sasse, who is absolutely brilliant. He's not power hungry. He left the Senate to become president of the University of Florida. He's amazing. He's so intelligent, so articulate, and he's so often quoted and is this is BS. He says it. He just calls it. He calls balls and strikes really well, and I really admire him, and I hope he comes back into the political arena. Third Indiana's own Senator Todd Young. I really like Todd Young. I think he's a Marine. He's just a really approachable guy, and he's done an amazing job working across the aisle with Democrats on certain issues. I think he would be an amazing president. And my last is a man that's not political, but I think he could be, and I think he's a candidate we could all unite around. He's a businessman. He's a family man. He's honorable. Jason Kelsey. I've got the shirt on.
You know what? I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
That's how far out we need to go.
He's really a smart guy.
Plus, Jimmy Carter had his brother Billy. He's got Travis.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's just a very competent, down to earth dude.
Yeah,
and I really have grown to fall in love with the Kelseys and their podcast.
I think he can win Pennsylvania.
Oh hell yeah, and yeah, and I mean, if Taylor, were to promote him, and it's a done deal.
Look how much better security he would get when Taylor was around. Because her security.
I really like him, but
could you imagine Taylor Swift being a part of the presidential?
Getting
presidential security.
Can you imagine? The fact that the inauguration would be like just 15, 16, 17-year-olds. Just like crazy. There'd be like a mosh pit.
You thought
women
that
under
Trump
the age
had
of
a
40,
big number
dude.
of people standing out there.
No, if Taylor was at an inauguration, it would be insane. She's the most popular person in the country right now.
In the world. She runs the world.
Yeah. So
the first Swiftie president. All right. So thank you guys for playing along with that game. Clay gave a speech in the middle of it, but even so, worst lightning round ever.
Hey, what about you? Which of these can you live with?
I would be, if I had to force rank my top three, I would probably go Buttigieg. Gun to the head, probably then Whitmer and Bashir.
Yep.
I think that's probably where I would go.
You like your Midwestern folk?
Yeah. Well, not the Illinois guy.
All right.
Illinois.
They don't even count.
Mitch Daniels taught me to hate Illinois so hard that I can't.
It's easy to do.
Didn't they at one point have 2 former governors in prison?
Yeah, they had a governor's wing of prison.
Yeah, and then what's his name tried to sell Obama's Senate seat.
Rod Blagojevich.
Yeah. Listen, this is too valuable to not get something for it.
You could look at Rod Blagojevich and be like, I wouldn't trust that guy to sell me a car. And they elected him to office.
He's too slick.
Here's what's crazy. These guys make it to office.
I know.
Yeah, because money and power, man. Money and power.
If anybody doubts me, go look up a picture of Rod Blagojevich, and you're like, "What? This guy looks like it's just a snake oil salesman."
Yeah, he looks like a snake.
Smarty looking dude.
All right. We've talked for a long time as libertarian types about who will build the roads, who's going to pay for the roads. The Indiana Capital Chronicle has an article out that we've linked to in the show notes that I thought was fascinating. Essentially, they said gas taxes aren't going to pay it anymore. We're getting electric cars, we're getting high efficiency vehicles. Fuel taxes are, even though we will raise fuel taxes, and Indiana's got a very high one, and right now things look decent for funding the road industry for the next few years in Indiana. The gas tax hasn't been increased federally in forever. Since the early 90s, so it doesn't come anywhere close to paying for the road. So when we pull into what we're borrowing, it's not a self-funding mechanism any longer. There are communities that have started saying, you're tearing up my roads with all of the delivery vehicles, and UPS. It's the same thing, the same conversation we've had with Knightstown talking about their trash service, right? Instead of having one trash service, you have 4 different days of the week where trash comes. You got the Big B guy, you got the waste management guy, you got the 4 different trash service companies. Same thing's happening now with Amazon and their private delivery vehicles, DHL, USPS, FedEx, UPS, all different class of service. You've got multiple guys delivering every day. So the average house may have 2 or 3 packages coming from different organizations every day. So communities have said, hey, we're going to start dropping individual delivery fees on things. Essentially, it's an Amazon tax. So Colorado has said 27 cents per delivery, just dropping that on, and then that comes back to the municipality or the community, the state, so then they can fold it back out, and that drops into place for communities to have money to pay for the roads, so that Newcastle could put down new roads, so that I-70 could get fixed, etc. You have
Is that tax applied to Amazon, or is that tax applied to, I mean, I know it would trickle down to the consumer.
Right. So the way it's designed is that it's a user fee that's charged to Amazon that they're going to pass on, right? So every time that you have a delivery, say your free Prime delivery shipping or whatever, Amazon's paying in Colorado 27 cents. Retailers under $500,000 in their plan are exempted from sales. So if you're a local mom and pop, you don't have to pay the tax, right? Minnesota has a 50-cent retail delivery fee. So a number of communities and states have put this into place. Wanted to have this conversation for you guys to say, hey, does this make any sense, or is this just a big money grab? And see what we think about it.
As a guy who has Amazon come to my house 4 days a week, it seems like I am 100% on board with this, because even I drive by these warehouses and be like, this is insane. That they're just like, I would like to know how many Amazon vans come to Newcastle every day.
I see them everywhere all the time.
And everybody knows they're not Amazon anymore. They're fluid truck rentals or whatever, because they have to, if they get in a wreck, you can't sue Bezos, so it's a different company. But I'm just like, this isn't. I wonder what we're going to do with these warehouses when this method of delivery and distribution of goods is no longer ideal. So I'm fine with this. And then Amazon can say, hey, Amazon already says you're ordering these things. Do you want them on this day, or do you want fewer shipments on this day? And if they say we're going to do fewer shipments on this day, and it's going to save you $1 on the delivery fee, then fine. And that's also saving gas and wear and tear on vehicles and stuff. So I think it'll have a secondary effect of like making them operate more efficiently, and maybe some people won't care, but some people think about, I don't need to have this thing arriving on Tuesday and this other thing arriving on Wednesday and this other thing on Thursday. I can just have it all show up on Thursday, and I'm fine with that because they'll save me $1 or $1.50. I'm fine with it.
The pull quote I have from the article. Once again, if you're a member of Patreon, you got the notes. You can click on it and you can read the whole thing for yourself. I think it's fascinating. Kathy Kipp, a Democrat who chairs the Energy and Environment Committee in Colorado, she's a state representative. Her quote was that if you're going to be creating wear and tear on our roads, you should help to pay to maintain them. Narrative: in July of 2022, Colorado became the first state with a retail delivery fee, a charge on all vehicle deliveries to consumers within the state. The fee currently is 29 cents per delivery, providing funding for highways, bridges, tunnels, electric vehicle charging stations, and projects to reduce air pollution and electrify vehicle fleets and transit systems. So far, they've in the time since it was enacted, it's brought in $160 million to the state of Colorado.
I do want it directed, at least in a significant chunk of it needs to go to the municipalities and local counties, wherever they're getting it. I don't want it to turn into another tax that the state collects and then makes you beg for it. So it needs to go to
just add to the $8 billion they're sitting on.
Yeah. So we can eventually get some, so you can apply for your community crossings grant or whatever grant they're going to make you, burned into okra to get. So yeah, as long as it's being distributed amongst the areas that are getting the roads used, so they can then repair the roads at their choice and not have to beg, kiss the ring. Yes, please.
Clay and Betsy, you tax enough already. You pay a fuel tax, right?
Yeah.
But there aren't a lot of unique solutions being offered. And I saw this and said, yes, this is worth conversation.
Yes. So I always lean more into a user fee type situation, because then you're not taking it from people. The people are choosing to do X, Y, and Z. And, so long story short, I like what Zach said, especially there at the end, really relate to that. And I think user fees very, very reasonable approach to the situation. Yeah, absolutely. And it, it's got to come with some kind of commitment that, okay, we're going to get it this way. So we're not going to, I don't know, raise gas tax again for X amount of time or something. You know what I mean? Because then usually government just tries to take it from all ends. I like the user fee idea. I like a fair tax or a flat tax. I'm very much more libertarian when it comes to the way we tax or the way the government receives its funds. That's a better way to put it.
Betsy Mills.
I agree with everything you guys both said. I'd want the money to stay local. I wouldn't want to burden small businesses. I mean, the Amazons of the world, absolutely. And I think it would give Amazon an opportunity to say, hey, and I am this person where I get packages almost every day. And they're like, if you will bundle that and let us deliver it in 3 days, you're going to save, $1, or we're going to give you some sort of credit. Like, they can incentivize us to get less delivery trucks on the road too. And I think everybody can win with this. And I mean, just looking at road funding, it's tough. We want better roads, but we don't have money. So I think this is a really clever idea.
Well, and at the end of the day, right, like we were saying earlier, you put this on, Amazon's not going to eat that. Chances are we're going to pay for it.
Right.
But it's our choice to pay for it. And then, like you said, you can be more strategic with the way you receive it. So you're paying 27 cents a week because you're only getting one delivery instead of 5.
Right.
So
so you jump on Walmart.com, you order 3 things, and it's 25. If you order $25, it's free shipping. And then you order it, and some things come from the store locally. And I swear to God, one time they delivered me $3 air fresheners that I just threw on there to get the free shipping. They left the store and ran it out to my house very quickly. Yeah. And then the other stuff shows up 2 days later. They created 2 shipments when it didn't need to be.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
That's the kind of thing that's happening right now as we're developing the e-commerce world.
I think they literally, either somebody's leaving work and doing that, or they're like, hey, on your way home, can you drop this off? And like, we'll give you an extra 7 minutes.
Right.
Like, you, where do you live again? Yeah, we just Google mapped it, and it says it'll take you 14 minutes. So we'll add 14 minutes onto your shift for the day. Can you drop this off? Yeah, because it literally comes in, like my mom's had it happen, and we've had it happen too. They just tie it off in a shopping bag and throw it on your porch.
Exactly.
Like, this is insanity. But
and it's there in an hour. It's like, how the hell did this happen?
Yeah.
It came from the Walmart that's a mile from the house.
You might see them push more for drones then. Might get some drone deliveries then if they keep it off the roads.
Because we exempt the flying.
Yeah, they don't touch the road. I mean, if you go to Indianapolis, the amount of warehouse space that is now visible from that interstate, and I know that the big ones are on the west side, like the old ones, like the one that burned down, that you're just like, I'm just like, this is insane. And then I would love to see like a time lapse of the Amazon warehouses with just the vans rolling out, because they have to be rolling out like every 6 seconds and just peeling out. And there have to be dozens that come to Newcastle on a given day. It's just amazing.
This is the Libertarian Pro-Tax podcast. Final thoughts.
It's a user fee.
Final thoughts, Zach Burcham. Let's move into that section.
I don't have much. Had fun at Mid Ohio. The weather's been all over the place. That's been a fun time. But other than that, there's probably something coming up. Check out the farmers markets. I'll plug my cousin Mary and her soaps. She's usually at the Pilton Farmers Market on, I think, Friday night.
No, she's at Middletown Friday.
Middletown Friday night, Pilton Saturday.
Yeah, morning. Yep.
So if you want to go get some soaps from Mary.
Mary's the best. The very, very best.
Veteran female-owned business, and she's an absolute riot of a human being.
I'd be fine with she replaced Joe Biden.
Oh, hell yeah. Mary Hobbs for president.
You know what?
Has
anybody seen Head of State with Chris Rock? That's a great movie.
Oh,
and it's fantastic. And people don't know it. It's. I won't even go through the whole plot, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And part of the fun is that the bad guy in it is the other president, and he is the abusive husband from Fried Green Tomatoes, so it makes you like him even less. But like, that feels like what we're signing ourselves up for is just like, they're just going to pull some random guy out, and nobody's going to think he's actually doing anything, and he'll win because we're just like, this dude's normal. And we would just like a normal human being to run for president of the United States.
I really think Mary should run.
The international incidents that.
Well, Zach, you've got to take her to Chicago and see if you can pin a 20 to her shirt and get her the nomination.
She, I wouldn't have to take her. She'd go up there, and Mary can wheel and deal. She could talk.
Oh my gosh,
she could talk her way through.
She could steal that nomination from JB Pritzker.
Oh hell yeah, she is so impressive and just such a fun human being.
Boss Hog alum. If you guys are listening and don't know who she is, look through the back file. Look for her.
And her business, Beehive Body, is
Beehive Body
tremendous products made here in Henry County. Really high quality stuff that I love to give as gifts because it's just so good.
We have all of our hand soaps in the house are Beehive Body.
Yeah, I currently smell like Christmas tree because I stole one from my mom because I thought it was Rip, and it wasn't. It was pine. So it's like midsummer, and I smell like a Christmas tree because I have a pine-shaped soap I stole from my mother.
Well, the trees grow all year round.
Yep.
Clay Morgan?
Yeah, so we started the show off talking about the city election. One thing that I think is a good thing that came from that is continuing on to operate is Micah Mattingly, who ran for Ward 5 as a councilman. Once he lost, he still wanted to stay involved with the community, wanted to do something. And so I want to plug his Newcastle Neighborhood Watch that he's been doing, and been having some meetings there.
They got that crime at Baker Park under control.
They are on it.
I haven't heard a word about it since the election.
but yeah, so they're on Facebook. They have Facebook group Newcastle Neighborhood Watch, and it seems to be doing some good things there. I know some of the councilmen have been a part of it. Police chief's been a part of it. So just wanted to give that a plug.
Very good. Betsy Mills, thank you for joining us, guys. That's such last minute, by the way, both of you.
Oh yeah,
always a pleasure to be with you guys and have these conversations. Point one, Caitlin Clark yesterday, at noon game in Indianapolis with the Indiana Fever, 29 points, 13 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 5 made 3-pointers.
I love her.
She's amazing, and you got to go to a game live. I have season tickets.
I checked tickets and I was like, I can't pay that.
I know.
Like as soon as I knew they had the first pick, I checked ticket prices and they were already.
As soon as she said I'm going to the WNBA, I called the Fever and I was like, I want tickets.
I just love the way she handles herself.
She's so good. Anyway, it's just really fun to watch. It's for me. I think I've mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but as a huge fan of women's sports, like I'm just so excited for everybody else to catch up. All these guys who are like, oh, I didn't know this was so entertaining. It's like, all right, we're not going to talk about the past, but you're welcome. Welcome to the bandwagon. Yeah, it's all good.
What has been. You know what I mean?
Burdened by what could be. Yeah, no.
She had the first triple double from a rookie too earlier.
I missed that game. My one of my best friends from college went and took his 12-year-old daughter, and we were texting about the game, and I was like, "Damn it! Like, why did I have to miss?"
That's the one.
Yeah, but she's playing lights out. It's a lot of fun. I think it's really exciting. It's good economic development for Indianapolis for sure. All these people coming in from all over the country.
She's like the Taylor Swift of women's sports.
She absolutely
with economic
is,
development because they're selling like, I think I heard that one of the owners made $2 million off of her showing up for one game off ticket sales.
I'm sure
because they're going. Some of these teams are going from 3,500, 5,000 seat venues to 20,000 plus seat venues, and they're selling them out. In like 30 minutes, and so that's revenue for somebody. They're making money out. I mean, Ticketmaster's got to be making $7 trillion off her because for every $35 ticket, they're going to charge $75 in fees. So
it's a great experience. I will say, like, it's really family friendly, but like not too family friendly where you don't feel like you can have a beer. But the crowds are electric. To be able to watch, like, it's one thing to watch her on TV, but to watch her in person, and we have a angular view of the court. Her decision making is just, you could just see how she scans and the spatial awareness, her passing. I could go on and on and on.
There's some videos of her passing. It's like
she's ridiculous.
John Stockton-esque, but 25 years more of like mental and coaching development with people.
Yeah, she's shooting threes farther than Steph Curry and Dame Lillard did this past season in the NBA, which I think is hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, Caitlin Clark for president. Indiana's own Anne Hathaway, not Shakespeare's wife nor the actress, but our former Republican chair and our national committee woman. She's in charge of the RNC next week in Milwaukee. Which,
Okay.
Yeah, she's been working really hard for the last couple of years. There was did you read the Andy Starr article?
I did. I don't know if she's putting a jail cell in the at the convention or
protective
not,
custody
for anything that happens.
No comment. But she's a friend and a mentor of mine, and I loved that write up in the Andy Starr yesterday about her career because she's such an impressive leader and someone who can unite a very fractured party. And anyway, it was cool to see her get her flowers in the Star yesterday, and I look forward to next week. I hope that protesters don't make it a horrible situation like Chicago in '68. I think both conventions are going to be very, very dramatic. At least maybe not inside. Well, Democrats may be inside, but what's going on outside. Right. So I just hope for peace. Last time I was on, I talked about Micah Beckwith, the Republican lieutenant governor candidate. He will be in Newcastle on August the 1st for the Republican Club. If you have any questions for Micah Beckwith about his candidacy, also 6th District Republican candidate Jefferson Shreve, who would be replacing Greg Pence, my dude Greg. he'll be there as well. I really like Jefferson.
I never did get to meet him.
He's great.
Greg, yeah. Didn't come to enough Republican fundraisers.
Anyway, Republican Club meets at 7 p.m. If you want to meet our local candidates, you should come out.
Thursdays at 7, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Weird. Weird.
It's like the official time for Republicans in Henry County.
Will you ask him what's wrong with John Green and when he's going to make up with John Green? Will you ask that for me, please?
Does he have like a summer book club reading list?
As an official co-host of this show, will you ask future Lieutenant Governor about John Green?
Yeah,
and his books
remind me,
and
but
what's wrong?
I have a list of questions I want to ask. So yeah, I'll put that on there.
That would be my first question is when he's going to bury the hatchet with John Green. Because John is one of the most lovable Hoosiers around.
Absolutely, such a good advocate for the state.
Picking on his book just seems problematic for Indiana.
I should probably ask that question first, like a softball, before I go towards like, do you really think that God ordained January 6th, as you said?
I would start with that, and then go to the next one.
Yeah, softball, then curveball.
Let's start with the things we can work through. Build towards the difficult conversation.
What can be unburdened by what, Ben? Right.
Final thoughts from me. Running this fantasy IndyCar league that Christy Avery is magically winning. At least one last week. 2 races this weekend in Iowa. So you need, if you're in the fantasy IndyCar, or if you still want to get in, send me a DM. We'll get you in. You can still play each race. You go in, and there are 2 races you have to select. And Joseph Newgarden is unobtainable. You get $100 for the month. You got to, or for the week, for the race. You get spread that amongst 4 drivers. Joseph Newgarden, you know how much it costs, Zach?
$48?
$42.
Jeez.
$42.
Yeah, you're gonna get stuck with him, Pietro, Giotto, who's not even gonna run. And then they better give Catherine Lake some real money. Yeah.
Nolan Siegel's $18. I know that. You can get yourself a McLaren for $18.
Yeah. He looks 12 though.
All right. Final thought from me other than that. You talked about Ticketmaster and their fees. Gavin Newsom, governor of California, they eliminated junk fees as of January 1st.
That's
wow.
And a bunch of national retailers have gotten rid of them. If you go look at a cruise now, those prices all have the junk fees blended in. All the extra,
at least they're
stuff.
they're not like add on later.
You don't have that starter price, and then here it is after the fact. So airlines, cruises, now that Ticketmaster stuff, those are actually going to be, hey, if it says it's $27, it's not going to be $58.50 a ticket on the back end.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's a thing that everybody should be able to get behind, because I think everybody gets irritated by that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think Gavin Newsom just moved up my list over that one. All right, with that, maybe he's third. We will see you guys next Tuesday with future NASCAR Cup star Professor Sora.